I don't believe in slum upgrading. I'm sorry. You can't upgrade a slum. There's no first-class slum. You must do slum eradication. Slum eradication is the only way to go.
I have listened to you about the issues of what is happening right now, and that is emergency. I've listened to you talk about street lighting. Actually, I didn't know.
Yes, I pay for that.
that you pay for lights, and yet that is a national function. I've listened to you about the metro.
Yes.
I really would want you to give us that breakdown and give it to the committee. I know the committee can pick it actually from Hansard, but how I wish you could, yeah.
I think given if you give me some time, I'll put it together.
Yes.
As proposals on the legal framework.
Exactly.
On the amendments, what can then enable.
So that according to me, that then becomes the template which even the other towns and cities can cascade onto whatever that they need. I am happy to hear that you are actually seized of, the truth is, you've traveled, we've traveled, Nairobi needs a metro.
Yes.
All right, the expressway that we keep talking about, Nairobi actually needs a ring around the city, which is an expressway, so that if you are lost from Limuru, you can find yourself at the airport in 15 minutes. I mean, these things are so obvious. I think you have explained. And finally, I just wanted to raise the issue of and bring in, I hope that our team will bring in the issue of the intergovernmental relations, which you brought out so aptly. And I remember you brought the question of the law where there was supposed to be a county, was it a development board, which was thrown away by the Supreme Court. I don't know whether it was the High Court or Supreme Court. How I wish we could go back to that aspect. The reason I've discovered, Your Excellency, why many of our county governments are actually dysfunctional is that we don't have a scenario where even Madam Tobiko, for example, sits with the governor, sits with the members of parliament, where you are discussing cross-cutting issues within the county. It's like members of parliament and members of parliament is from some crazy place. They have nothing to do with the county. County government runs, in fact, the way it is designed, I think by default, you are supposed to run without even talking to your MPs. If you are lucky to have a friend who's a senator to speak with you, good for you. Most of us don't talk with our governors, and I think that framework is what must be brought back, where we sit as leadership and discuss matters about our counties, and I believe that this committee can actually come back and convince everybody that there's a need for us to engage and to discuss. And I can confess to you that last week, when your senator came to the floor of the House, he was really excited that you are actually called everybody and you are engaging with all your leadership in Nairobi. And for me, that is how it should go. The last point I want to raise, I don't know how you would handle this, neither do I have a way. You've said so much that makes sense, but nobody in Nairobi knows that.
These guys don't cover me.
Figure out a way. I think you need to figure out a way on how you can periodically explain it. I remember when you started the principle of the boroughs.
Yeah.
The borough system is an American creation. I believe, and I know you will agree with me, and I heard you say it once, I think it was 2 years ago, Nairobi is too big to be let to fail. So we must come up with interventions where you do not destabilize the county government system, but create a scenario and a management structure where intelligent, clever, well-trained individuals can run these boroughs with the leadership of the governor, and I believe Nairobi will change.
Go ahead. All right, thank you very much, Chair. Governor, I love your knowledge of Nairobi County. You seem to know every part of Nairobi County. And you're very knowledgeable also on the issues that are challenges in the city and maybe the probable solutions. One of my questions, Chair, is, I don't know, the right pronunciation, is it Barrows or Boroughs? Barrows, yeah.
You might have to find an
yes,
name.
okay.
Yeah, but
so,
Barrows.
These barrows, how will you make sure that services are harmonized, to have a seamless flow within the boroughs and, the spilling over services into other boroughs, because people tend to own their little areas, and you don't want interference from the other boroughs, but they are shared services. That is one. Two, hoping that you got early warnings about these rains and the floods, the imminent floods coming. What were the preparations that you put in place, to address some of the challenges that are happening now, including the floods? And then I was just wondering, because you have mentioned a lot to do with education and the educational facilities, both primary and secondary schools, and you say they are county-owned schools, but yet the functions should be national. Have you faced, audit queries for handling what should not be county functions, and what is the solution to that? How have you managed to go around that? Because I know of facilities that were done in Kajiado by the first governor and even the second governor, and now because of audit queries, there are white elephant projects that are just there and cannot be implemented and cannot be utilized by the public because of the queries that came in. Third, I think, because the chair says you need to go, I was just wondering, of the neighboring counties, because you have Machakos, Kiambu, Kajiado, and I think Murang'a, do you have structures or systems that allow you people to work together to address common challenges and also to address shared services? Yeah, you have mentioned about the Kitengela water to EPZ. I know such services. Maybe you can enlighten us if there is a smooth way that those counties are working, particularly those in the metropolitan area. And then finally, has the NMS transferred back county functions to Nairobi County? Has NMS wrapped up whatever they were doing and allow you to do your work? Thank you.
I want to thank the Senator, our governor, immensely, because what you've just talked about, mostly many counties are facing similar problems, though they are not that big. You said something very important, Governor. You talked about feeding a school program, whereby you said students are paying 5 shillings only. I think the county I come from, county of Marsabit, should come here, visit you, and benchmark.
I'll be happy to show them.
Yeah. Thank you very much. The question I have is, you have talked about NMS pending bills. Did you say 17 billion?
Yes, 16 point something billion. 16, let's say 16 billion.
Yeah, let's say approximately 17.
Yeah.
How about Nairobi County pending bills?
100 billion.
100 billion. So my question is, Governor, NMS, how are they going to pay the 17 billion to the county of Nairobi so that you can clear those bills, so that you get the handing over also process to run smoothly? Governor, you talked about the issue of emergency disaster bill. I saw your bill, I took that one up, and unfortunately, like you said, it is with the government, it is with the Mr. Ichungo himself, and I had a discussion with our majority leader, and I asked him, why didn't you give us these documents? I have the documents now with me. Mm-hmm. If they can give it to us so that we can run with it very fast and then send it to the National Assembly. But he said he's going to discuss this matter with Ichungo, and now we've already taken almost 2 months now. Yeah. So the same problem you faced, we are facing the same problem. I took this matter because of Marsabit issues. If you look at Marsabit today, you will find a village having food from the national government and the county government, and another village having nothing because of the program they had. So let me say today, I've interacted with two former governors, and I will tell you today, you are one of the best people we have in this country. And whatever you said, even Barros, all those are something that eases work for you. And you are not doing it for yourself. You are doing it for posterity.
The house that protects us should also know what we are dealing with and what we're going through. You know, sometimes most governors see interactions with the Senate as being adversarial. Exactly. Yet it shouldn't be. You know, and that is why I'm happy to be on the 12th time. And in fact, I even hope we can be able to one day do a retreat so that we can go deep into these issues with our technical teams and your technical teams. Yes. I would also want to invite you, in fact, I'll invite this committee to Nairobi County, because you need to be able to take stock of what we've done with devolution as a devolution committee.
Yeah, I think that what I appreciate is that maybe you can be able to see some of the activities.
Yeah, some of the things.
Yes, for the committee to go around with you.
But I'd want you to see
the witnesses and
yes, to witness the changes.
Exactly.
The County Government Act provides for customer service centers, client service centers.
Yes.
I'd want you to come see our Nairobi Customer Service Center that we created at City Hall Annex. You'd think you're in a banking hall somewhere, you know, with technology, and to see, you know, just the attempts. People assume things about Nairobi. I didn't know, by the way, despite being senator, I never knew Nairobi had no ICU. There was no ICU. Yes. I was chair of the COVID committee, going around the country, asking Isiolo, why don't you have an ICU? Why don't you have? But Nairobi didn't. Because we see Kenyatta, we think Nairobi is okay, but Kenyatta is not a county hospital, it's a national referral, and we have 124 hospitals. But I've done the first ICU, I've done 2 now, and neonatal ICU at Mbagathi, the first eye hospital, a place like Pumwani, the lifts last worked when I was born, you know. So there are many improvements I'd want you to be able to see. But let me answer questions, maybe starting from the last. The informal settlements, our plan, Nairobi has the highest number of informal settlements in East Africa, possibly on the continent. And the plan the president has around housing is the solution. The city itself, we have our own urban renewal plan. We are developing 7 estates. The old city council estates that you'd find on 1-story. I'll give an example like Woodley, for instance. Part of Woodley has 42 houses. We have 100 acres in Woodley. The 100 acres has less than 300 houses. We have started with the first 10 acres. In that first lot, actually in the first 5, there are 42 houses in the first 10. I'm able to provide 1975 houses from that space. 1,975 houses. That is the plan that we have, for instance. So those 42 become 1975. In fact, from that 10 acres, we free up the other 90 acres. And we can be able to develop. So the urban renewal plan we are doing, and the process is decanting. And so, for instance, if you go to Kahawa Soweto slum, and you get some acreage of land there, with the first development of 1,000 houses, you can move all of the families and eradicate the slum. I don't believe in slum upgrading. I'm sorry. You can't upgrade a slum. There's no first-class slum. You must do slum eradication. Slum eradication is the only way to go. These improvements in slums, for me, there's no dignity, no matter how the place looks like. If you're sharing one room with your children and your wife has to go shower in a communal shower outside there and they're men, and there's no dignity. And if you see what our people go through in this informal settlement, it's terrible. A child of 5 years old, 6 years, there's nothing they don't know, which is unfortunate. So that's the plan. So we're partnering. So they're the ones we're doing, and also the national government is doing. But we've agreed with the president that even in some of our estates, because now he has a fund, there's a national now fund that is there. We don't have a fund. So ours is with the private sector. So we come, we value the land, and say this 10 acres is available for development. When you do it, you give us back our units, as a county, and this one you provide for social and for affordable housing. But now with this fund, you can be able to pump in money. What you need is land. We're asking for rethinking some areas, like Isili Airbase, for instance. If you look at Airbase, it is bigger than the whole of Isili and everywhere around. It was created to evacuate a president in terms of emergency. And that is why I told the president, boss, if there's an emergency, you'll get stuck in traffic coming to Isili Airbase. This thing is not, it can't fulfill the need it was created for. And with technology, you can even be at Laikipia, you can be at, so this land, and look at the GDP of the surrounding area. And that is when I'd asked about the restrictions, because you cannot build beyond a certain height in Isili because of that airbase, whose use is obsolete. So that's on housing.